What is new? The Kardashians want our attention again. We are talking about Khloe Kardashian's new podcast called Khloe in Wonderland. I'm going to read a little bit of the press release and then we're going to chat a little bit more about it. Khloe in Wonderland marks a new chapter for Khloe as she steps into a creative space where her signature humor, authenticity, and boundless curiosity will shine through. In each episode, Khloe will explore a wide range of themes that are both personal and universal, from grief, healing, and overcoming trauma. That's the one I want to hear from. To the pursuit of happiness and love. That's also what I want to hear. She'll even dive into the more quirky and offbeat interests such as aliens on Earth and near-death experiences. Each episode will have 24-hour exclusive window on X. Before being made available elsewhere, the show will be distributed and monetized by Dear Media Studio, a multi-platform media company dedicated to amplifying women's voices and narratives. Dear Media is the largest female marketplace in audio. And we love Dear Media because they're also home for Mariana Hewitt. That's one podcast that I listened on there. I think there's another podcast that I listen to. Oh, Peyton, Note to Self. She's also on Dear Media. So I do like that studio and what they represent and the voices that they amplify on the platform. So good for Khloe. I think it's a natural progression. And and I think Kim has done a big it was one of her first podcast interviews that she did with Skinny Not Fat. If I'm not mistaken, the podcast is called. I know that Khloe's good friends with that podcast host. Anyways, now we have Khloe doing her own podcast. But if I'm not mistaken, in not this season, but the previous season, she had a fight with her mom. Her mom, Kris Jenner, that woman, as Wendy Williams would call her, pitched the podcast idea to Khloe, and Khloe lost her mind. And the reason being was Khloe said that the mother strikes a deal for the kids and then she lets it go. But Khloe said that she never had a support system and a team around her with all the business ventures that the mom would sign deals for them and companies that they would start and just not be present.
I really feel strongly that you should have a podcast.
But then if I go ahead and I take on this podcast deal, I'm overwhelmed with work that I'm doing all on my own because I have no team, no support. And so before I take on another project, I need to fix the 20 that are so up.
Which is understandable. She can, broker the deal, but then the kids must have a team together. But Khloe's saying that she'd never had a team for any of the business ventures that she's gone into besides Good American. I think Good American has done very well and it's been successful, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the figures, so yeah, I stand to be corrected. However, the things that have flopped that Khloe has done include Cocktails with Khloe, which ran for one season, 14 episodes, and was cancelled. She was a host for one season of The X Factor with Mario Lopez. She was never asked back onto there, so that was a flop. And then I remember, well, let's not even talk about Quick Trim. Remember that disaster. So, and what else did Khloe do? Oh, yes, she had the collagen, Dose & Co., which, yeah, I don't understand sometimes the decisions that are made for Khloe's brand, because I see the path and the clear path of Kylie and Kim and what they do with their businesses in terms of beauty and lifestyle and makeup and shapewear, and whereas Kourtney has paved her way into being Goop Light, and with Poosh, she's structured her business to be encompassing that. Whereas Khloe, we've seen her do things and collaborations with Febreze because she's great at organizing and she's a neat freak and cleaning, but it just doesn't land very well. And then she's also done stuff with Candy Crush. I remember friends of mine were sending me Instagram stories and Instagram reels of Khloe in a living room. You know, I was like, how much did she get paid to do this? Because Kim and Courtney would never do that. So I hope she got paid big bucks to do that. So yeah, the Candy Crush one was very bizarre to me. And now she's launching this podcast tomorrow, as I record this. My thinking is she has a number of guests that have been announced, namely Mel Robbins, who I love and adore. I love her podcast. Jay Shetty, his podcast is also very successful. And Scott is also one of the guests that's going to be on. So it does say that there's going to be family, friends, experts, and creators. So this is the first prelim round of guests that we're going to be having. But my problem is that Mel Robbins and Jay Shetty, I know their podcast. And for you to invite them onto your podcast is, what am I going to hear different on your podcast when they're being interviewed or speaking to you that I won't hear on theirs? So I feel like it's a little bit redundant to have Jay Shetty and Mel Robbins. Love Mel Robbins. There's some shady stuff about Jay Shetty, so I don't want to talk about that. But yeah, like these are all motivational, well-adverse podcasters, and they are fantastic authors as well. But what am I going to hear different that is not on their podcast? You see, the thing is with podcasting, it allows for you to connect deeper with your audience. It allows you to flesh out something really well and people to go on the journey with you. And I believe, especially in that episode with Kris and Khloe when they were fighting about this podcast thing, is that Khloe was very apprehensive in doing it because maybe in conversation she would slip up, and if she was interviewing Caitlyn and then accidentally she uses Caitlyn's dead name Bruce in an interview, and then she would be annihilated for using that, and it would be an innocent mistake. However, she would be held at a different standard.
Let's just say I'm talking about Caitlyn and I accidentally say Bruce for a second, and then I go, oh, Kate, you know, like I would know it was an innocent mistake.
Right.
It wouldn't be with malice intent. That little thing that seems so innocent, I could be annihilated for.
I do understand that the Kardashians get the rap worse than anybody in the media industry, I'm sure. But they're also the strongest. They're also able to overcome the trolls and overcome the nastiness. I think this platform would allow Khloe to dive more and people to know her more. And because we met the Kardashians as this family, and Khloe was an outspoken, loud one. I mean, obviously over years she's changed and people do change, fair enough. But I want her to dig deeper. If you really want people to listen and watch your podcast, you would have Tristan on and you talk about co-parenting and how you're navigating that. You would have Jordan on and you talk about online bullying. You would have, yes, sure, Emma, and talk about the trials and tribulations of Good American. And just get real, you know? Have Black China on. Have your brother on. We haven't seen Rob in years. It would be amazing for you to have Rob on that couch and chat to him in the way you guys are, because you two are very close, Khloe. I'm talking to you now, Khloe. I think we would love you more if you were honest and had a frank conversations with the people that are around you. And it would also humanize the Kardashian brands. It would humanize the whole Jenner Kardashian brand more so than what the show is doing right now, because I do feel like the show is very executive produced by you guys. And if you have real people on your couch for your podcast, people will respect that. And then, I think you could also navigate in terms of how the narrative would go. But if you really want people to respect you and really understand that you're coming from a good place, you would take this podcast and you would run with it, and you'd get the people that really matter the most and people that are really, really want you to know how you're navigating through this. This is my, thoughts. And I really believe that it would have been the better deal to do that. The other better deal that they should have done is done a deal with Spotify and not with X. That is a terrible move. An absolutely terrible move. No one is going to... I will watch the first episode on X, but then I'm going to just watch it on Spotify, because that's where I watch my podcasts. I don't view podcasts. I don't like X as it is. So I feel that the platform is toxic and negative, and but that's a story for another day. However, that's a decision that's been made, and the rest of us are going to watch it on other platforms, and you will see the numbers. And if you're waiting 24 hours just for it to come out, so be it. But if you really wanted people to tune in on X, you would have the guests that I've mentioned and have real conversations, because sure, yes, you're going to talk about healing and grief and navigating through life with Mel Robbins and Jay, about happiness and love. They're going to be all surface level. You're not going to go deeper, where I feel that you would get a lot more respect if you went deeper and had a conversation honestly and openly with your guests. But hey, who am I? Khloe in Wonderland premieres exclusively on X on January 8th, and then 24 hours later, it's on all the other streaming platforms. I'm going to link it down below so you can go watch it there. But I'm going to give you the Spotify link, so I'll see you there. If you enjoy watching content like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you want to watch more videos like this, you can click right here. I'll see you in the next one.